Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would give you a multi-part story time tonight, and I'm not sure that there's three parts to it. There are three separate stories that kind of go together, and I'm not sure that I'm going to get through all three of them, so there's not really that much to them except for the fact that they created chaos. It's all about some parties that I had and one that I didn't even know that I had. And certain situations arose, and in all three of these situations, I was rendered totally helpless. I had no control over the situation. Two of these parties were on my premises, and one I was on my first boyfriend's at his house with his two other brothers. And so I'm not sure that I'm gonna actually get into all three of them, but I'm first of all not sure about the lighting. I don't know if you can see me, so um, I'm over here. So all right. So the first party, it took place. This is going way back when I was first going with my first boyfriend, and I had the party in the summertime. It was my birthday party, and it was after I entered university. And I remember having a couple of parties, but one was okay. The second one that I had was okay. The first one was very wild and went way out of control. And there were a few reasons for that, but the party took place during the period after the first year that I was going with my boyfriend, and we broke off. So we broke off sometime around March. And so March, April, May, June, and then my birthday was July. So we were apart all those months. Of course, I saw him walking around the campus sometimes. And, we basically had the falling out over Louise. And if you can hang on for one moment, I'm not going to put the video on pause because it's probably going to stop recording. I just want to get a glass of water. So I'll keep talking, okay? So it was in the period in which we were broken up, and I remember that my ex-boyfriend saw me on campus and he was trying to talk to me. And I think this is how it went. It was close to summertime. It was around summertime. And I remember saying something to the effect of, "Oh, you want to talk to me? Well, come to my party then, and maybe I'll talk to you there." So actually, he came. Anyway, what happened was I wasn't very popular with parties. And I just wanted to have a good time. I just wanted to, throw out all the old bad luck I had been having all year. And I wanted to do something that would try to bring me some very good luck. And so I wanted to change my life, I think I was turning 20. And so that change wasn't going to happen at 20. I found out the hard way. Anyway, what happened was this girl that I knew at the time I asked her to come to the party, and she actually didn't want to come to the party. Her friends wanted to come, and they said that they would come to my party. We used to hang out at the coffee shop sometimes, and they heard me talking about the party and planning the party. And so I knew that my parents' friend's son was going to be coming, and their daughter, his sister, was going to be coming. And these are actually people that ended up buying at the beach resort where we also bought our condo. They were in the same building. They were close friends of ours. At least they were then. And so I remember they were going to come, and this girl that I was trying to get was going to come with her friends. And actually, what she did was one day we went to the mall, and I saw her with a stack of flyers, and I said, "What are those?" And she said, "Oh, you'll see." And so um, we went inside the mall, and we walked through the department store, and when we got into the center of the mall, she stopped, and then she started waving at people, and I said, what is she doing? Like, what is she doing? I don't know what she's doing. She started handing out flyers. Well, would you believe that these flyers had my address on it and the date of the party, and I don't know what else that flyer said, but I told her I thought she was crazy. I said, I don't know if you should be doing this. I was so passive. I was so, I was also upset because I had broken off with my boyfriend. And I think this was before he tried to talk to me. I didn't know exactly that he would be coming at that point. So anyway, she handed out flyers, and we were there for just very briefly, just a few minutes. I said, I think you should stop, because I don't know who's going to show up. Don't do this. I said, you never know what could happen. And so, okay, she stopped, and that was it. And so, and then I remember inviting, oh my goodness, a childhood friend of mine who was by then an adult, and she was going to be bringing some of her relatives who were visiting from Europe. And so I said, oh, well, that's not a bad little bunch. I mean, that's enough to have a nice time, We don't have to go all out for this. It's just a birthday. And so I remember there was going to be cake. There never would have been enough cake for all the people who came, but there was cake. My aunts and uncles were coming, and I don't even know if some of my cousins were going to be coming. It was, a very, very big letdown for me, because I was so convinced. I was so convinced that nobody would show up, just a couple of people. And so anyway, okay, so Saturday rolls around, party day, and yeah, there were a few balloons. My father had fixed the downstairs. By then I was, 20 years old, and I remember him fixing that. There was a beautiful bar with a pool table and couches and plywood walls, and it was beautiful down there. And so it was perfect for a party. And I remember there were streamers, some balloons. It wasn't a child's party. It was just, a birthday party. And so I remember being in one of the worst kinds of moods, because I was totally convinced that it wouldn't turn out right. I think I had an inkling, a very good premonition. It was much more true than I ever would have imagined. What happened was, I think it must have been about 7:30, 8. It wasn't dark yet, and I remember my aunts and uncles, all the people that I knew, had all shown up. And it was okay, it was okay. I remember the cousin of mine who came away when my first boyfriend went to the beach resort, and she came with her girlfriend. She came with her fiance, and this was before they broke up. And so that's where she met my first boyfriend. And so I remember she was there. It was nice. It was getting kind of nice. And so I remember my mom and my dad were there. They were on the upper level of the home with my aunts and uncles. And I was down in the party room with all the younger people. And so then the girl that was handing out the flyers, she showed up with all of her friends who happened to be truck drivers. But I liked them. They were very nice, and they all adored me. They were such gentlemen. And so we all sat and were chatting. And then, the strangest things began to happen. People kept coming to the door, and I kept going to answer it, up and down, up and down. I wasn't expecting any more people, but because of the flyers at the mall, many more people were coming, and people were not going to stop coming. That's what I was going to find out. So, okay, somebody turned on the music so loud, I couldn't hear anything. And then it got to the point where I didn't know what to do or say, because I would let people in and I didn't know who they were. And my childhood friend came in, and I thought, okay, she came in with somebody I didn't know, but that was because it was a relative I had never met. And then she saw this girl. We were both looking at her. She was running up and down the stairs screaming, and then she ran right under the pool table. And then she started kicking her legs way up in the air. I don't know what was going on. And we both turned around and said, "Who's that?" And then we said, both at the same time, "I don't know." And then the music got even louder, guys. And then my first boyfriend showed up. And I think he had a friend with him. Was it Carl? I don't remember exactly who he brought, but he had somebody with him. I don't think it was his brother. I can't remember. For the life of me, I can't remember who it was. And he gave me this look. He said, "What the heck is going on here?" I said, "Well, I don't really know. I'm having a party and I invited some people, but more people than I were expecting happened to show up." Okay. But a party wasn't even getting started at that point. I think people were bringing their own liquor, and everybody was talking. Everybody was having fun. Nobody knew who I was, but everybody was having fun. Excuse me. And so I just can't believe it, guys. I just can't believe what happened. Anyway, to make a long story short, people were kept coming and coming, and the house was brimming. We didn't know what to do. And my father never said a word. He never said a word to me. My aunt was laughing and screaming, and she was carrying on like everybody else. She was having a great time. And my first boyfriend kept glancing over at me and following me every time I left the room. And finally I had to tell my mother, just leave the door open, because I can't keep coming up and down the stairs. There's too many people. I'm going to get hurt, I can't move. I can't. It was wall to wall people, guys. Wall to wall people. And they were all nicely dressed. They were all very sophisticated. I have a feeling a lot of them were friends of my dad's friend's son. And they were very nice, but I didn't know who they were. A lot of people who showed up didn't know who they were. So I can't vouch for all the people that were his friends or people that came from the mall after having the flyer. I don't know what was going on. But it got out of control, guys. I didn't know what to do. And I remember that there were some people just lying out on the front lawn. And I remember going to the front lawn. My mother said, go and look and see what they're doing out there. I said, look, I don't know who they are. I don't know what to do. And then when I was out there, I saw the lady next door. I still talk to her sometimes. And she was giving me these looks. She was shaking her head and laughing. And I don't know who called the police, but they finally showed up. And I explained to the police, I don't know who they are. I don't know how they found out. I said some of them are friends of friends, but not all of them. And so that was very late in the night. And so the police started to say, okay, everybody, let's start clearing out. It was awful, guys. It was okay for a while. It was fun. The music was great. And, it was, I think it was the year that Endless Love came out. You know that movie with Brooke Shields? Okay, that was the summer. And it was a beautiful night. It was the most interesting night of my youth, I'm pretty sure. And at one point, my first boyfriend and I said, I still haven't had a chance to talk to you. I said, well, I'm sorry, but I've been a little busy. He said, yeah, I noticed, but why don't we just take a drive around the corner so I can talk to you? And I said, okay, but just for a couple of minutes, because my dad, he's going to really be ticked off if he sees that I'm gone with you, because he was still very upset with my boyfriend. My father didn't want me to have anything more to do with them. Because don't forget, guys, my mom and my dad saw Louise and him at the movies together right before we broke up. So that's, my dad was very overprotective of me. And so he had a feeling that I would get hurt again. So anyway, just as we were getting around the corner, we heard my dad come running out of the house screaming my name. And we heard him get into the car and take off. So we took off around the corner. And basically we just went around the corner. And he said, obviously he wanted to get back together again. He said, I really want to get back together. And I said, you know what, why? Is Louise gone? Is she gone for good? What happened? Did she get tired of you? I was really being nasty to him. And I don't really remember how the conversation went, but I remember that we had a kiss. And I think that was it. We were back together. I said, you have to understand that my parents are not going to take to you very well after what you did. I mean, they literally saw you. So, and I don't think I can ever forgive you for what you did. And he said, I never did anything with her. I just, I don't care. I said, you shouldn't have done anything at all. And so he said, okay, you're right. And okay, that was it. We were back together again. So that was the one situation where I literally lost all control of everything that was going on. I never in my life, guys, had almost the same situation. But the first one at this party was the worst. I'd never had a repeat of that. And it was something that I never would have thought would have ever happened to me. But it happened. And it happened when my parents were right there at home with me. And we literally had no control over anything that was going on in that house. And, I still, to this day, I'm not sure who the heck all those people were. I don't know. I don't understand how they got there. I don't understand where they came from. How did they know? It's not like I told anybody at university. I might have mentioned it, but I have a feeling it was the flyers that did it, guys. I have a feeling because she wanted to hand out the flyers, but she didn't want to come to the party. So something weird was going on there. Anyway, the second party took place maybe about 2 years later, something like that, maybe a year later. I think it was more winter time, springtime. It was during the school year. School was still going on, and it was at my first boyfriend's home, way out of town. And I remember his father wasn't there, his mother wasn't there, and his two brothers, his two younger brothers were there. And it was at night, the party was at night, and the age group, like the age group of the party that I had was about 18, 19, 20, 22, something like that. This age group was younger. This was his brother's friends, and I think they were both brothers who were between 15 and 17 years old. So a lot of them were 16 years old. A lot of these kids that were coming here were about 16 years old. And I remember talking to this one girl that said that she had had 42 beers, and why don't I join her? She must have been so far gone. Anyway, so what happened was, my first boyfriend and I were basically chaperones, if you want to know the truth. We were there to make sure that nothing bad happened. We stood by the stereo all night long, and we didn't move, or at least my boyfriend wouldn't let me move. He said, don't move from there, because I know that as soon as somebody sees your back turned, they're going to spill something on it. I said, geez, why don't we just cover it? But because the music was coming out of it, we couldn't cover it, we couldn't put it away, we couldn't really do much. And so these kids just kept coming in through the door, through the window, all night long. And it was, if I had to explain exactly what was going on, I would say a heck of a lot of booze was going on. And if there was anything else going on, I probably would never have known or noticed, because I never, done stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It was just booze. And so this party kept going on and on. This one was really, it kept dying down and kept livening up. And there was a lot of drinking. And even though a lot of it was legal age, I don't even remember what the legal age was then, but there were so many underage kids there. And I thought, this is a big risk, because these are all just children. I said, we're going to have to do something sooner or later. He says, I know, you're telling me. He says, I don't know what to do, because there's too many of them coming in. We can't control the situation. And so it kept going on past 11 p.m., past midnight, and these kids were just, they weren't going to stop partying, that's for sure. I don't even remember if there was an occasion for the party, if it was a birthday or what kind of a celebration. It was just a party. And so I remember getting really worried and thinking, how are we going to end this, I remember having gone through it at my place and having the police have to come in and break it up. And I don't even know who called the police at that point. But, when you see all those kids running around, the younger age group, we were so afraid that they were going to knock down the walls and tear up the furniture. And he was, my first boyfriend was really, he was livid. His face was beet red. And he kept telling his brothers to get them out. I said, look, they're not going to be able to get them out, even if they want to. I mean, the party is out of control. He said, we can't move from the stereo. So I said, you're going to have to do something. I don't know what we should do. He said, you know what? He said, I'm going to call the police. Because by then it was about 1, 2 in the morning, and it was still going strong. I was exhausted. And I was getting scared because, it was getting late at night and they were showing no signs of giving up. So he went into the kitchen. I remember the phone was in his kitchen, just over, a few steps over. And I remember him calling the police, and in a few minutes they arrived. And I remember the window and the living room was open, and kids were coming in and out from the window. Why? I don't understand that. And then finally, when the police came, all they did was come through the door, and they said, "Okay, party's over, everybody out." And I remember kids throwing up on the lawn. I thought, oh my God, everybody jumped out the window. They all ran because they were all underage. And I remember finally the house was empty. The house was getting emptier and emptier. We were going in all the rooms to make sure everybody was out. And there were people in the bedrooms too. Everybody out. And then the police turned around and pointed his finger at me. He said, "You, out!" And so I said, "Okay." And I started making a beeline for the window. And my boyfriend grabbed me by the neck and the back. And he said, "What do you think you're doing? You're not going anywhere. You're staying here with me." And I remember being so relieved at that point. I'm so relieved that the whole house was empty. It was a mess. I don't know how we did it, but it was a mess. And I remember staying a little bit and helping them clean. That memory is very vague, but I remember that I did let them, relax, and I tried to clean up as best as I could. But that place, I don't think anything major happened. But if it had gone on any longer, the house would have been demolished because those kids were in every room in the house. Not so with my party. My parents made sure that everybody stayed downstairs. But this party was so completely out of control, guys. And all those kids, oh my God. I don't know how people do it. Anyway, it took a long time for them to recuperate and clean up. And I think I pretty much offered to do whatever I could. I don't remember going back the next day and helping them. I remember they had a hard time cleaning up. It was pretty much a nightmare for them. And I don't think they had any more parties after that. But, I believe it wasn't during the period after which his father came out of the hospital and went to join his mother temporarily in California. So the boys were all alone. The three of them were all by themselves. And so they jumped at the chance, of having this party. But I don't understand why, What good is it to have a party like that if you can't control what's going on? That's pretty scary. And so anyway, those were the first two parties, both within a couple of years of each other. My first boyfriend was at both of them, and the police showed up at both of them. And so this other get together, I don't know what you want to call it, because I didn't even know that it was going on. It happened many, many years later. Now this would have been 2003. That would have been the year that I married my ex-husband. And it went on in September of 2003. I remember going down in July, and I was still there in September. And it was at my beach house. And what happened was, there was a situation at my ex-fiance's job where their contract was being ended, and another company was coming in and taking over their contract for them. So they were very bitter, and you know, it was sad because I considered them to be a very good team of people. They worked very well together, and they had a good friendship going. They had, um, at times it wasn't. But from what I saw, they were very hardworking, and it broke my heart to see that they were down in the dumps because they were being replaced by another company. So I remember at the time thinking out loud and saying to him one night, we used to spend a lot of time together, my ex-husband and I, before we got married. We spent a lot of time together down there. Every night, walking along the beach or walking along the Costera where all the shops are, or just sitting on my balcony. And I remember talking to him and saying, wouldn't it be nice to do something good for them? You know, maybe get them some food, order them some takeout or something, to do something nice for them on their last day here, you know. And he said, yeah, that would be a great idea. And we let it go at that. We never talked, we never talked about it. It wasn't up to me, right? So anyway, I remember the last day rolled around. And I remember I had decided on my own that I was going to go to KFC because everybody there loved it. And I was going to bring them a bag of fried chicken, you know. And be done with it because I felt bad. My dad used to do stuff like that for them all the time. So I did it. And, just to celebrate their last day on the job before the new workers would come through. And so I remember going out and buying this chicken. I didn't say anything to anybody, eh? I just went out on my own. And I remember we had a cleaning lady who used to come and clean every once in a while. When my mom and I weren't there, she would come once a month and she would come in with the key and clean, and she would be there in December when we got there, and she would stay and clean for us a couple of times a week, maybe every Tuesday and Saturday, whenever she could come, because sometimes things came up and she couldn't make it. So, but I remember being there on my own. I was as neat as a pin. My mother wasn't there with me that time. And I said, I'm not going to be needing you to clean for me this time because I'm by myself and I'm very neat. I'm not going to make a mess. I have one little tiny suitcase and I never do anything. I never cook. I never make a mess. I never do anything. I didn't even go shopping or anything like that because, I was just not much of a neater. So, I just took things very easy. And I remember the cleaning lady and I would talk from time to time because she would clean other units in the condo. And she also did some work in the office sometimes for the management. And she would be there quite a bit. I remember talking to her almost on a day-to-day basis. And she is going to become a more important part of other stories that I'm going to be telling you. So actually she had been with us since my father passed. She wasn't around when my father was alive. She was working in another building somewhere else. But I remember that she had heard a lot about my father, and all of her employers were my dad's friends. So, it was very familiar. And we trusted her very implicitly. She was very sweet. I might upload a little video of her, but I feel funny because she doesn't know. But she's very sweet. And, there was this special bond between her and my mother and me because, my father had passed away and she knew that we were going through tough times without him. So she was close to us in that way. But anyway, I did tell her on a day-to-day basis. No, I don't need anybody to clean. No, please let me come and clean. Let me just clean once. No, I don't need. You can come and look and see for yourself. It was spick and span. I never dirtied the floor. I swept on my own if I bought sand up by accident. I was very clean. And in those days, we didn't have a washing machine, so I would take my clothes and walk or take a cab over to the laundromat and then pick them up a few hours later. So there wasn't even any laundry, there was nothing. There was no mess there at all. And I remember this was right before we began renovations. We were going to be renovating the kitchen. But at that point, we weren't decided yet. And the bathrooms. So I went to KFC to buy chicken. I remember going to Walmart and I bought some pop. And what else did I bought some water. And then I bought the chicken and I went up. Guys, when I got back up to my condo, my beautiful, clean, sparkling, spick and span, wonderful condo, it was bulging with men. They were having a party. They were having a party on my premises, a party that I never knew about or gave them permission to have. And the cleaning lady was there, like she was in the hallway. And she was waiting so she could go and clean up. So I kept thinking, did she know about this party? And that's why she wanted to go in and clean? Why did she want me to let her in that day, right before the party? Why? I don't understand it. Maybe she knew what was happening and she would have kept them away. I don't know, guys. She wouldn't answer very many questions, that's for sure. I walked in. Let me tell you, I didn't stick around. I walked in and what I saw was unbelievable. I saw men sitting on the couch. Thank God nobody was in the bedrooms, okay? Then I would have had a freak. I saw men sitting on the couch, men smoking. I saw my ex-husband, who was then, I wasn't even engaged to him yet. He was making tortillas without a pan right on top of my cook stove. And he was drunk. He was out of it, guys. He was out of it. Okay, he thought he was being cute and funny. I wanted to strangle people. The floor was black. My beautiful, pure white floor with ceramic tiles was slimy and mucky, and the walls were full of fingerprints. Oh my God, the glass tables were all filthy. There was food everywhere. I said, here, take the chicken, bye. And I left. And I said to him, my ex-husband, I said, you have just a little while. When I come back, I want you all out of here. Out. Out. You don't have permission to be up here. I said, I don't know why you're having this party. He said, you wanted to give us a party. I said, I did not do any such thing. I said, I bought it, the chicken, without saying anybody, to bring downstairs, not for them to come up. I said, I never gave anybody any permission to come in here. I said, are you crazy? And then I thought, well, look who I'm asking. Anyway, guys, I remember leaving. There's no way I was going to stay there. I was so upset. I was so upset, and I didn't know what to do because there I couldn't do anything. I was literally, the manager got so mad at me because he thought I arranged the whole thing. I didn't even know what was going on. I couldn't believe it, guys. I couldn't believe it. All of the employees were up there. They were having a party. Thank God there was no music. There was a little bit of music from my radio, But they made a mess. They almost made such a mess. I said to the cleaning lady, if you think I'm gonna let you clean my apartment after all that you kept it from me, I said, you're not gonna clean. I said, you're not cleaning anything. I'm gonna clean it. I said, you should have told me what was gonna happen. I was so livid, guys. I was very livid. And I remember being pretty ticked off at him. And I didn't know how to approach the situation, but I said, that better not ever happen again. That better not happen again. I said, my opinion of everybody and all of them just changed, especially of you. I said, that was very sneaky and conniving. You should never have done such a thing. And so, guys, it took me hours and hours and hours. I had to get a bucket and fill it with soap and water and a cloth and get down on my knees and clean everything. I had to get the Windex and wipe the walls, wipe all the glass tables, and that cooktop. It had had its day. And that is what led my mother to have a nervous breakdown with me when she came back and saw the cooktop. Of course, I tried to clean it as best as I could, but it was basically finished. It had been acting up for a long time too, but it would be replaced the following year when my mother and I would return, and we would redo the entire kitchen, just because that nightmare of a memory of how the apartment looked with all those men smoking and eating in there, it just made me sick. I had to get rid of it all. You know what I mean? What a mess, guys. What a mess. And it was such a beautiful day. I was so relaxed and, walking along with a bag of chicken, and all that catastrophe happened. It was like a bad omen, and from then on, things started to go very wrong, but that's another story. So, anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed listening to at least some of these stories. They're really creepy, but true, and I think the first one was the nicest one, because that was, the memory of my boyfriend and I getting back together after being split up for a few months. And it was, brought back some good memories of my youth. But the other two parties were not good. And the last one was really creepy. It just got creepier from there on. So, I hope that you did get some messages out of this. What I learned was that never have a party that's too big for your own good. I mean, always try to have a situation, no matter what it is, a meeting, a party, a dinner, a convention, something that you can control, because if you don't know who's going to be showing up, if you just say, come one, come all, I mean, it's just going to be a disaster, and that's a very controlled environment. A condo is a very controlled environment. You don't want anything going wrong there. It's not like a house where you can basically pretty much do whatever you want, except make too much noise and then have people call the police on you, which is what happened to us twice. But no, this party, there were no police. I didn't even know that it was going on. This last one was incredible, guys. So, those were the parties that I got stuck with, and I didn't regret the first one. The second one wasn't my party. The last one wasn't my party either. I don't know how it happened. I still am trying to figure that one out. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed listening and watching. And if you have any ideas or any comments or suggestions, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.